Hey everyone, thanks for waiting. We still have people joining, but we are going to get moving. Welcome to today's webinar, which focuses on some trends that we are seeing in the marketplace around the consolidation of dairy production, processing, and logistics resources. My own name is Gary Gallagher. I'm the CEO and founder of Optahall, which is a software company which optimizes and plans milk logistics, moving it from farm to plant, and I'll give the company a little bit more of a detailed introduction in a moment. And today I'm delighted to have on the call also Kevin McSweeney. Kevin, say hello.
Hi everyone.
So Kevin is our client success manager. So Kevin, while we wait for a couple of people to call, maybe if you could give the listeners, some of your background and your experience in milk logistics.
Sure. Yeah. So as Gary said, my own name is Kevin McSweeney, and I'm the client success manager here at Optahall. So really, what I'm working on is helping our customers reach their goals, and ensuring that really they're getting the most value out of our solutions. And a bit of background about myself: I've come from a transport management background, and I've 9 years plus experience within the dairy industry. I suppose prior to joining Optahall, I worked with Dairygold, one of Ireland's largest cooperatives. So I have a lot of hands-on experience and a lot of information that I pass on to our customers.
Good stuff. Thanks, Kevin. So let's get started. We are running a pretty tight schedule today. As with all of our webinars, we try and keep them within 30 minutes because we know you guys are busy. So in the context of consolidation in the dairy industry, we want to talk about what is happening and what we are seeing in the markets and the customers that we're working with, why these changes or these new types of consolidation scenarios are happening, what opportunities might be relevant for people that are listening, whether they're leading logistics in a cooperative, in a processor, in a milk marketing board, or even in a milk hauling operation. What opportunities are arising from these consolidation events? And then we'll finish off by trying to bring it to life by showing how customers may be able to use technology to help them examine these scenarios in advance, or even execute them when these mergers and these consolidation events take place. So first, a little bit about us. So like I said, we are a technology company. We help the dairy industry to provide better margins, better returns to their farmer producers by focusing on moving the milk from the farm to the plant. And our software helps to optimize and reduce mileage, reduce costs, and reduce carbon emissions in farm to plant milk transport. So we do that by providing a purpose-built software solution to these customers. The reason why we focus solely and exclusively on milk is it's our experience and our thesis that managing milk logistics is very different to managing other logistics use cases, such as general haulage or distributing items from a centralized warehouse. As most of you who are registered and on this call will know, the movement of milk, it's a time-critical operation. It's a non-stop operation, as we'll become acutely aware over the next few weeks during Christmas. Most milk logistics operations are now working to make sure that there's no stop and no interruption to the service that they provide during Christmas holidays. There's a huge amount of data points to collect during farm to plant milk transport, whether that be at the farm, at the plant, related to the tankers that are doing the collection, and more as more new milk types arise. There's more data needs to be collected and to allow milk to be transported separately for different customers, different tastes, etc., etc. So it's a very much a data-rich operation, and a lot of the data collected is really unique to dairy, and you just don't see it in a more standard logistics use case. And again, to increase more complexity to milk logistics, we know, and you guys know, that the destination of these milk loads can vary depending on their factory requirements, things that go wrong, customer requirements, whatever that might be. So all of these unique characteristics mean that milk logistic is a complex operation, and it requires a purpose-built solution to manage it. So that is why we exist, and that is why we provide our customers with a software solution that is built for and with milk logistics operations. So it's helping to make significant reductions in mileage, in time spent planning, and to, as we'll see later on, also to increase flexibility when there are major changes to the operations, such as mergers, acquisitions, etc., etc. Okay, so that's who we are and what we do. What I now want to ask Kevin is to maybe help us understand what is changing in the landscape when it comes to consolidation. Are there some examples near and maybe far away? Why these events are happening, and then I'll come back later on to maybe bring some more context that around how you might manage these changes in a product demo. So Kevin, you know, we obviously work with customers in predominantly in Ireland, Europe, UK, and the US. We're seeing various different things happening. What have you seen, or what are you noticing in the market?
Yeah, I suppose all the people on the call here today are probably familiar with consolidation that is happening, and I suppose we're seeing it at both farm level and at processor level. On farm, typically we're seeing high input costs, high operational costs, which is shrinking really the farmer's profit margin, and at a processor level, we're seeing these companies merging together, some acquisitions being formed, and really what they're doing is they're aiding these companies to diversify their product portfolio and ultimately increasing their market share simply to remain competitive in the market. And what we're seeing most recently in Ireland, we've seen Tipperary Cooperative and Arbonne Cooperative merge together and becoming a stronger presence in the Irish dairy market. Similar in the UK, we've seen Muller recently acquiring U3 Dairy to enhance their export capabilities and improve their supply chain resilience. And also in the US, recently Lactalis acquired premium yogurt brands, which I'm sure you'll all be familiar with, Yoplait and Go-Gurt, to name a few, simply again strengthen their product portfolio, targeting these consumer-friendly, high-margin products. So in terms of milk production trends globally, while we haven't seen major increases, it still is very volatile at the moment, and due to many factors, but both globally and regionally. I suppose climate change is playing a big part. We've seen many trade disruptions, and also there's been new legislation that has come in that is really impacting the milk supply. When we see in Ireland, if you might go on to the next slide, Gary,
Yeah,
we've seen the first 6 months of this year, we were down a staggering 5.6%, which is quite volatile. And that's mainly down to two things. We see extreme weather conditions, going back to the back end of 2023, cows were into the sheds very early, and they didn't get back out until, in some cases, April or May of this year. So milk supply was severely hampered, and also not to mention the nitrates derogation. So there's a significant proportion of Irish dairy farmers dependent on this derogation, and the outlook is that it may not be around for too long more. So all these factors are coming into play with this. But you can click on Gary. Really, what's happening here is basically these companies are using mergers and acquisitions as simply a survival strategy to remain viable. And what's happening is they're simply able to benefit from economies of scale, really reducing their per unit cost. And what we've seen happening with some of our customers is they're really streamlining their operational processes, be that from a processing point of view, but from also a transportation point of view. They're adopting these new technologies really to gain greater efficiencies. And I suppose it's also important to point out here the environmental factors that are at play. we've recently seen the EU publish their net zero to 2050 campaign, and really that's forcing processors and haulers to adhere to this policy. But what's also compounding that effect is that the end user wants a more sustainable product. So these lead buyers in big companies are demanding these sustainability metrics from the likes of their haulers. So it's really important that the haulage industry stays current and up to date with what the market is demanding. So with all great challenges comes some opportunities, and what we've really seen with some of our customers at the moment is they're adapting new technologies, likes of our own software, allowing these processors to adapt quickly to market trends, and ultimately it's allowing them to reroute the milk to factories that are producing higher margin products. And what we've seen also is for the cooperatives that have their own haulage, they're combining the resources, they're able to optimize their schedules and streamline their processes. But where the third party haulers are really coming into their own in this, and we've seen it, one of our customers in the UK is really championing this. They're able to collect milk from multiple processors. They're utilizing their fleet to near max capacity. They're driving efficiency, but also there's some great synergies there between both the hauler and the processor. Ultimately, the hauler is able to collect the milk at a cheaper rate because he's fully utilizing his fleet, and also he's able to charge the processor a less cost, again, because he's driving these great efficiencies. But also, I suppose what's it plays from a sustainability point of view, we've also seen some of these companies are now favoring haulage contractors that can simply prove to them that they're using alternative fuel sources, be that electric, HVO, biofuel, or simply those that are literally tracking their sustainability metrics to prove that they are efficient in what they're doing. And also, I suppose it's important to point out from a labour point of view, these companies who are streamlining processes, they have collection schedules that are really optimized. They're attracting new drivers because they have efficient schedules, they're reducing their workload, and they're allowing greater flexibility and able to rotate the drivers more than what they can do at the moment. Ultimately, most drivers know they want a better work-life balance. They're not prepared to be working such long hours as probably the previous generation were working. So all of this is really benefiting these companies who are really promoting efficiency and excellence within the industry. So Gary, I'm going to pass it back over to you, and it'd be great if you could show the people on the call a demonstration of what we can do within our system to help some of these companies who are merging or who are in the process of some acquisitions.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Kevin. So to summarize, we've got all these pressures, economic, regulatory pressures on the co-ops, and that's what's driving these types of consolidation opportunities. And whether it's mergers or joint ventures or partnerships or streamlining logistics, that they are all opportunities which are arising from the challenges being posed. So what we want to do now is to go through a hypothetical scenario, and that is in this case it's a scenario of if you or anyone on the call was given the task to consider the merge of two operations, two milk farm to plant milk transport operations. How might you go about it? And what are the possible savings that might be had? So we're going to show you in our solution some demonstration plans, some scenarios which shows a couple of small cooperatives and small in relative to the Irish size. So definitely small compared to the US market, but small cooperatives who are currently running, delivering into 3 plants each, 100 odd suppliers, how they can be optimized individually, but then how how it might look like if they were merged together. And again, consider if you were given this task, whether it's merging with another cooperative or simply taking on another milk field, bringing in new customers, new partnerships, whatever it might be, or acquiring certain parts of another company. Ultimately, the goal of our whole webinar and indeed the demo that I'm going to show is to try and help you think about how you might approach merging the logistics aspect of any of those events. So without further ado, I'm going to change screen, and I'm just going to ask Kevin if he can now see a new screen.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So a very quick overview of what you're looking at first, and then we'll take you through a scenario. So this is our solution. This is the OptiHaul optimization platform. And what you're looking at is a cooperative, a sample cooperative who is delivering into 3 factories and picking up from 104 producers. Okay, so that's this cooperative. And what our system does is it takes thousands of data points about the plants, the producers, the milk it's collecting, etc., the depots and where the trucks are starting, the haulers that are being serviced. Takes all of that, crunches the numbers, and it comes up with the most optimal route plan. And the most optimal route plan is a set of routes, as we know. And just to give you an idea what an individual route might look like, it looks like this, and it gives us back the distance, the time, the average speed, the tank fill of that particular load, the unit cost, the CO2 produced, etc. So our system is designed to ingest all of the supply data, what you're picking up at the farm, all of the demand data, what needs to go to what plant, and all of the available resources, the available tankers, and it comes up with the most cost-effective route plan. And a summary of what that might look like for a 2-day plan to cover daily pickups or every other day farm pickups, it might look like this. So this is a summary of a 2-day plan for this stout co-op, as we're terming it. Over 2 days, we're doing about 12,500 kilometers. We are picking up just over 600,000 liters of milk spread across the 2 days, and we're using about eight tankers per day to do it. Okay, so a relatively small setup, but on its own, what our customers would do would be continually you update the supply and demand for this co-op and continue to optimize it and try and within the confines of this co-op try and come up with the most cost-effective route plan and then share it and so on. So that's what our system does for one co-op. But then if we move forward and look at a scenario where we might be merging 2 co-ops. So I've created a second one here, termed North Co-op. So very similar in size, just to keep things simple. Again, we're delivering into 3 plants. We've got a few more suppliers, but so 107 compared to 104 this time, and we've got all of our current routes going into the different factories. Okay, so a very similar setup. You can say two similarly sized co-ops. And for this particular co-op, we're traveling a little bit more. Instead of 12,500, we're traveling almost 14,000. We're using around the same amount of tankers, and we're collecting around the same amount of milk. Okay, so many of our customers are co-ops of this size, or at least have regions that have plans of this size, and they can go and continue to optimize. But if you were looking, or if you were tasked at merging these 2 or 2 similar size operation, then we would simply, I know it's not simple in practice, but we would simply create a new plan where we would put all of these suppliers, so that should now total more than 200 producers into one plan, put all of the available factories, but in this case, we want to only deliver to the more profitable factories. So we're putting a ranking on the factories to say that the system needs to send the milk to the factories that provide them the most profit. Now, this could be, if it's your own plant, then you could put a weighting on it. If it's a customer plant, then it's obviously the price that your customer is paying for. But ultimately, what we're looking to do in this merger scenario is obviously merge, but also reduce resources, and that means potentially reducing some of the plants that we deliver into, but also reducing the mileage and the tanks on the road. So now we've created a new plan. So we're covering about just over 22,000. So compared to the previous one combined, which is about 27,000, we're saving about 15% by merging them. We are taking about 3 tankers off the road over the course of 2 days, which is significant for an operation of this size. But of course, we're still collecting all of the milk, and obviously that's the golden rule. So what we're simply doing here is taking all of the supply, taking all of the demand, merging them together, and prioritizing the plants where we make the most money from, and doing it all in the least number of mileage and the least number of tankers. And that's what we've done. So that's really the process that we would take. We would assess. So if 2 entities are merging, we would assess the first entity, see what is the most economical way to do it standalone. Do the same for the second, and then look at merging the 2 scenarios so that we can come up with some sort of benchmark for our customers to assess the viability of this merger, or if the merger is happening regardless, at least they can start to plan from a cost and logistics perspective. Okay, so that is really it from a demo perspective. Just to jump back and finish off again, to summarize what we did today. We obviously introduced ourselves, and hopefully at this stage, I know there's a lot of people who have been on our webinars before, so hopefully you know what we do. But for anyone who is new, we covered off that we provide software and technology and services to help dairy processors, co-ops, and haulers to provide better returns for their farmer producers, whether it's their own members or customers. Kevin took us through the landscape and how it's changing as it relates to consolidation, whether they be mergers, acquisitions, joint ventures, marketing collaborations, or simply expansions from single hauliers. Why they're happening, and I guess the summary there is there's a variety of pressures, from economic to environmental to regulatory pressures that are making these happen, and what some of our customers are doing, and I think Kevin brought us through some examples of that. So if any of this resonates with you guys, we wanted to then show how you might approach it. If it lands on your desk on a Monday morning that you need to start assessing or even costing out how you might change your logistics operation between 2 companies, 2 regions, whether it's in the same country or in different countries, or even across continents, we can. There is no geographical limit in terms of the data that we can handle. And again, I know some of you are responsible for different regions, but we have customers who have operations globally across multiple countries. So then our demo showed how we can pretty easily, once we have all the data together, how we can optimize individually and optimize as a merged entity. Okay, so that sort of brings us to the end of our webinar. And with that, what we will do is say thank you for joining. As with our previous webinars, we do like to keep them as short and snappy as possible so that you guys can consume. We have some Q&A, which we will follow up via email. We will also follow up with a recording of this. And should any of you have specific scenarios that you just wanted to chat through with myself or Kevin, then please feel free to contact us either via email. So you can take our email address there, or you can respond to the follow-up email that you might get from the webinar. Okay, so with that, Kevin, thank you.